Hey y'all, it's Orlando. We just want to let you know that the views and opinions expressed during this podcast episode are those of the co-hosts and guests and not their sponsoring institutions. Now, let's start the show. Hello, Detroit and the world. Welcome to another episode of Authentic live from the beautiful Mackinac Island at the Detroit Regional Chamber's Mackinac Policy Conference. This episode is brought to you by the Ford Foundation and WDET, Detroit's NPR station. We are also a content partner to BridgeDetroit.com. I'm Orlando Bailey.
And I'm Donna Givens-Davidson.
We thank you so much for listening in and supporting our efforts to build a platform of authentic voices for real people on the east side of Detroit. We want you to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms. Okay, so we are joined by none other than Charity Dean, the founder and CEO of the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance and the new owner of Rosa Coffee Shop in Rosedale Park. Charity, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
We are happy to have you back. Okay, so you're doing all of the things. All right, so just name, quick round robin. What you got going on? What's going on with Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance? Tell us about Rosa's. It just ran in the Free Press today, an opinion by Nancy Caffrey. We want to talk a little bit about that. And we want to talk about how we're showing up here at the policy conference.
All right, I'll go quick. So the Black Business Alliance, we are celebrating a year. We're over a year.
And you came on the podcast right when you launched.
I did. This was probably, I think, my first interview.
Oh, wow.
With you guys.
Oh, we had the exclusive.
Yeah, you know what? But at that time, the Mackinac Policy Conference had been postponed until September, and so you weren't here physically at that time.
That's exactly right. Yeah. We did it virtually. But so we are close to 500 members so far, serving Black-owned businesses in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb County, close to $5 million to Black-owned businesses through our programming, our Capital Connect program, our BizWiz. We open a co-working space, free internet, printing for Black-owned businesses.
See y'all.
Yes, 1234 Washington Boulevard.
Okay.
We are excited about celebrating Juneteenth. I'm not going to look at Donna when I say that, but we're celebrating.
No, I love Juneteenth, and I will come to your celebration.
Hey.
So don't get me wrong. Okay. I am not anti-Juneteenth celebration. I'm anti-celebration, celebrating Juneteenth as a national holiday by people who do not celebrate Black people or our freedom.
Say less.
So, yeah.
Say less. I got it.
Add Donna on Facebook. And
right.
You'll get the op-ed there. For sure.
So we're doing a Freedom Fest at Eastern Market with Charles H. Wright, NAACP, City of Detroit. We've got Black businesses going to be out there. Slum Village is Father's Day. So we got Slum Village going to be celebrating Black dads. We'll be giving out a Cool Dad Award from the Pistons. So it's going to be a great opportunity. On the 14th, we've got a Congressional town hall. We want to hear from the folks that are running in the 12th and 13th. I know y'all been talking.
Yeah, we're going to do something too.
Yeah, I know y'all been talking to them. So we're going to get them all together on the stage and nonpartisan educational event.
All right, we gotta come. I gotta come check that out.
Yeah,
so we can take So we can take notes. On how we can show up and do it better.
We'll figure out a way.
I look forward to it. I mean, we the first time I went to a Juneteenth celebration was many years ago in D.C. And I had no idea what I was celebrating. I walked into the most amazing event, and I wondered why Detroit doesn't celebrate it. We need to do it big.
Yes,
and
we do.
Eastside Community Network has certainly tried to do it big. Yes. You are doing it big. And this is exactly how Juneteenth should be celebrated by people like you, working with people like the Wright Museum and others who have been investing. Yes, and 500 Black businesses, because that's what freedom looks like. Let freedom ring.
Yes.
But I think that, but when you see it in Walmart ice creams and other things, it just is almost
it's
an
the
insult.
freedom for me.
And
Charity.
then when you try to put your trademark by
that's
Juneteenth, as if somehow your ice cream, red velvet ice, know. Anyway, I don't want to stay there because we don't have that much time. But I want to talk to you because one of the things that has always been so exciting for me about you is the fact that you speak truth to power, and you are basically a positive person. Always got a smile on your face, but always unafraid to be who you are and to stand for your truth.
Thank you, Donna.
were you here earlier today when Van Jones was saying, all people or whatever it is he has to say about, civility?
His civility speech.
I probably was at the Skillman Foundation Youth Gen Z thing during that.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. But no, I didn't hear it, but I hear civility a lot.
Yeah, somebody followed me when I was walking in here, and they had questions about it, and they were good questions. But it's like, can we all come together as people? And my take on it is that civility, that justice is not about people; it's about policies and structures. That's right. And if you stand for policies and structures, my issue is not with you. It is what you stand for and what you're doing about it. When we make this about good people on both sides, we somehow miss the point. Do you agree with that?
I do. And here is what I'll say about civility. I believe that true change, if you look at any type of change, whether it was the American Revolution in the 1700s or the Civil Rights Movement, it did not come actually through a discourse of civility. And so when we try to sometimes in the search for peace, use words like civility, sometimes we forget that these issues are deep rooted and they have really strong impacts in our neighborhoods and strong impacts on people. And so if you attack the issue, you don't attack the issue with civility, you attack the issue with pressure and with honesty and with transparency. And that's how you get to change. But you've got to be able to call it out. We got to be able to be honest with each other. And that's how we're going to get to the root issue. But if you can't call it out, if I can't say it, if I can't say black, if we can't say racism, then we're never going to solve it.
And I think civility is a practice that is employed by the privileged. I don't think I have the privilege to always be civil.
But we might, right? Yeah. All of us occupy places of personal comfort. We're not living in a situation where we're homeless.
Yeah,
we're not living in prison.
Right.
We're not living in situations where our lives and livelihood are threatened. But we represent people who are.
I think because it's all up my parents, they've been married for a very long time. They're pastors. They always talk about marriage issues. And one of the things they always say about a marriage is that your husband is not your issue, your wife is not your issue. The issue is the issue. And if you both are aligned to solving the problem of the issue, then you won't take it personally. And so whenever we're talking about, racism, or whenever we're talking about systems and structures of power, if we don't take it personally, if we all are aligned to say, this is an issue that has attacked all people, right? It has attacked people. And if we come together, then you don't have to have a question about civility because we're all trying to say, this thing is bad and we need to destroy it.
Right. But there are people who benefit from oppression, okay?
That's true.
We can't all be on the same side unless you're willing to give up your privilege.
But that's what I'm asking.
And the other thing that came up, I think Van Jones said something that was really interesting, and this is secondhand. I wouldn't hear it, but about. Listen. Here's a person who came to fame on the basis of climate justice and environmentalism, and is now talking about incremental change, as if you can fix what's wrong with our environment through incremental progress. And it just makes me think of Martin Luther King, who was so frequently misquoted, who talked about the fierce urgency of now, who talked about why we cannot wait in the letter from the Birmingham jail. So I think when you really look at the way his message has been distorted, like the meaning of Juneteenth, to suggest can't we all get along, when really what he was making was a demand, a civil protest demand for change. And that protest was not always met with kumbaya hand-holding. He was attacked by dogs. He was attacked by water hoses. He was arrested. He was not just hated by white people, but by many black people who really were afraid that he was disrupting.
Yes. Yeah. And disruption is how we get to change. Martin Luther King talked about a race. He imagined a race, and you imagine a black person and a white person in a race, and a white person gets a 300-year start in that race. And then he says, if we want this equality that we talk about, we need something transformative. It is not that the black person starts and then he's never going to catch up. And we today in 2022 have a racial wealth gap in our country where white families have 9 times the wealth of black families. That's not an opinion, that's the fact. It's not something I've said, it's something that Goldman Sachs has said, it's something that the Kellogg Foundation has said, it's something that you can Google, Yahoo Finance has said, right?
Or just drive down the streets of Detroit and some of our suburbs and see.
So if we mean what we say, that this gap, this racial wealth gap, if we mean what we say, then civility is not what's going to close that gap. We have to disrupt the systems that have allowed it to perpetuate even to today.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about, a system that you're disrupting. We're here on an island of privilege, if we're being frank.
Absolutely.
And black folks are. There's more of us here than I've ever seen in my coming to Mackinac. But you are convening black folks on the island. Tell me what the impetus of that was, and how,
First of all, I love my people.
Yeah. Black folks are the only black-owned restaurant on the island.
Only
is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So last year we started this. So when we started the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance, our goal is to attack radically that racial wealth gap. So we don't ask for permission. We're not asked, we just do it. And so we did that last year in September. We contacted the only black restaurant and said we want to host a reception. And we're very intentional about our invitation list because we want to create a space for black collaboration and, dare I say, black power. And the reason why that's important is because this is amazing. I love the Mackinac. Believe it or not, I love the Mackinac Policy Conference. I get so much done because I meet with so many people in such a short amount of time. But we are in a place of privilege. We are not in Detroit. And you can't drive here. You have to, take several modes of transportation to get here, and the cost to be here is
prohibitive.
And it is, and so that's not missed on me, right. and it's not missed on the people that we serve.
That's
and
right.
So for us, as black folks, we need to really understand the power that we inherently have, and the best way to really tap into that power is through collaborate and to convene. And so that's why we do our reception. And it's not just us; it's Black Leaders Detroit and NAACP.
And NAACP. Yes, so shout out to Dwayne Dandridge at Black Leaders
Detroit.
To
be clear, it's intentional. Camellia. We don't have sponsors. There is no sponsor for our reception.
You're not getting corporate money for that?
On purpose. I'm not going to say we never. Don't do that.
I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
But what I mean is that event is about us coming together. Deals happen on this island. Yep. Let's do the deals together. Together. Policy happens on this island. Let's come together and really tap into our black power.
A few years ago, I was at a policy conference, and one of our colleagues was there, and we were talking about the horse-drawn carriages and this almost being pushed back at a place and time long ago. And he was romanticizing that time, period. And I had been walking down the streets and looking around, and all I could think was there was a period of time when all of these things were real, when my people were property. Yes. And when I said that, he looked like I'd slapped him in the face and said, ouch, that's upsetting. And it's like, I get it, it's upsetting to you.
But it's real.
But I can't come down here and look at horse-drawn carriages and have nostalgia. Ancestry.com teaches us the big porches and the cannons and all of this kind of stuff in the military, and you just have to reflect back. This is our history, and it's not history we should be hesitant to talk about.
Right.
Well, somebody said the blood has memory even beyond your lifespan.
Wow.
That memory, even though we didn't see it, it's in our blood.
It is in our blood. It is in our blood, and it's something that we should never take for granted. Never take for granted. Never.
Or have to hide.
That's right.
Or have to pretend.
Or apologize for.
Yes. We celebrate, the 4th of July. We celebrate all of these things. And we talk about life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And it's never going to be possible for all of us unless we disrupt the systems, the policies and practices that make it possible for only some of us.
That's right.
And so I admire you for your work in the business space, because ownership.
And in the Civil Rights Department.
And so many people. Yes, absolutely. You're right. Has anybody ever replaced the Charity Hicks Dean in the Civil Rights Department. I mean, I think that
I love Donna. I'm not dealing with her today.
Because listen, you were a person within a city bureaucracy who was unafraid to speak truth to power and to stand for what you believed in. And there are people threaded through city government who are like this, and we need people like that there.
Agree.
But then you came outside of it and you said, okay, let's do something about business ownership. And it's so important for this rising generation of leaders who don't necessarily want to work for anybody and don't want to look at work the same way they have. How are you embracing and how are you addressing the changing dynamics of what Black leadership looks like in a younger generation?
Well, I'll tell you this. First things first, we are launching our Up Next program this summer. So we actually have a youth We have a youth entrepreneurship program thanks to the Skillman Foundation as one of our sponsors, where we are literally matching young people ages 16 to 22 with Black-owned businesses. A lot of these internship programs, you're going to go work at Ford or you're going to work here, but our Black businesses actually need workforce capacity, and young people need to see themselves as entrepreneurs. And so that program is there. But let me just be honest, like what we're doing at the Black Business Alliance is listening to Black people. So it's not really that like.
Thank you for naming that. It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. We are like just listening to Black people, and we're going where they are. Yeah. So when you look at our membership, 96% of our members are small businesses. They've got less than 50 employees. Yeah. They're the hood bars. They are the the car washes. They are the
barbershops.
Yeah. So we're just going to Black people and listening to them. That's it.
So, but you are also now operating in this duality of listening and providing resources, but becoming a business owner yourself.
I know.
Our colleague at the Free Press, Nancy Caffer, who we love, just wrote an opinion about Rosa that is getting ready to open in Grandma Rosedale. Tell us about the coffee shop.
Yes. Look, and so it's a duality, but I believe like this is going to make me even better at my job because I'm already experiencing firsthand, running a small business. But I'm really excited. So Grandma Rosa is my neighborhood. I live in Grandma. I used to be the president of Grandma Community Association, thanks to Candace who made me do that.
Candace,
that's my neighbor. And so I love the neighborhood. But my great-grandmother was the second Black family to move into Rosedale Park. And I say that with one sentence, but it took a lot for them to get their house. They went through hell. They got death threats. The people that sold the house to them got death threats. It was not an easy thing for them to integrate that neighborhood. And that was only in 1973. This is not a long time ago. So you got to remember when the Fair Housing Act passed and the Fair Lending Act, Rosedale Park was primarily white in the 60s and 70s, mostly. And so this integration that happened, my great-grandmother led it. And so the coffee shop is going to be named Rosa after her, and just honoring her as a trailblazer in a neighborhood of good neighbors. And I'm really excited about it. I'm happy to bring a Black-owned business into my neighborhood.
My first job was at the Baskin-Robbins on Grand River. That Baskin-Robbins was owned and may still be owned by a Black woman, Rose Lucas, who was my mother's friend. And
is the Baskin-Robbins still there?
I don't know.
It is, but I remember that.
There was a Baskin-Robbins there, and it was also probably the most explicit experience of racism. Right in the Grandma Rosedale neighborhood, I had a boyfriend. My cousin worked there with me, and we were driving through, and we were chased through the neighborhood by people throwing bottles at our car and telling us, calling us with the word we have been required to bury, the N-word. And then somebody shot something. So it used to be a pretty scary place. I cannot imagine the courage it took for your grandmother to be there. And so how beautiful that you're honoring her,
and she stayed
right on Grand River. And no wonder she raised the courageous granddaughter in Charity Hickstein.
I was her favorite. I want all my cousins to know that I am Rosa's favorite. Use this
platform to disparage your cousins. Really quick before we have to go, plug the event that's coming up. We want you to
tonight.
No, the Congressional event.
Oh, yes. Sorry. So in partnership with the Wayne State University Black Student Union and the Detroit branch NAACP, we are hosting a candidates town hall on Tuesday, June 14th. It will be streaming live on the NAACP's Facebook page. I don't know the exact handle, but the idea really is to hear from the candidates running for the 12th and 13th Congressional districts. Detroit having Black representation in Washington, D.C., is critical. And depending on how this race turns out, we're going to see whether or not we have Black representation in in our nation's capital.
And plug the Juneteenth event.
Juneteenth, June 19th, Freedom Fest at the Eastern Market Corporation from 12 to 6. We'll have Charity, not me, the singer. John Houston and Slum Village.
Oh, I love John Houston.
Yeah.
And Slum Village.
Yes, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We've got over 50 Black-owned businesses that are vendors. Food trucks, we're going to have a grown zone for grown people. You got to be 21 and up to go in the grown zone. But it's going to be amazing. Charles H. Wright is bringing out traveling exhibits.
Nice.
So it's going to be a great celebration of what it means to be Black and free.
All right, we'll be there. Charity Dean, President, CEO, and founder of the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, see you soon.
All right, we are joined by Latrice McClendon, Community President, Detroit, and Community Market Executive at Huntington Bank. Latrice, I can't believe we're saying this for the first time, but welcome to Authentically Detroit.
Listen, it's so good to be here, and it's good to see both of you. I adore both of you for different reasons.
Yeah.
We go way back.
We go back a little over a decade.
Yeah, we do. I knew Orlando when he was in college.
Wow.
She's been getting my life together since she knew me, too.
Yeah, I feel like you owe me. Did you win an Emmy? What you win?
I won an Emmy
I think
award.
my name should be on that after all the advice and conversations we've had. I just want you to know that.
You know
I'm
what?
claiming credit.
If you could get it from my mom, I'll put your name on it.
No,
But
mom is first.
Good luck
Listen.
snatching it from
That's
her.
right. Mom is first.
Absolutely, yes.
But we're so happy to have you here because Huntington has been making some significant investments in and around the city. Number one, we just saw the first bank branch being built up on the east side in a long time.
You know, there's two
of
them in our district, right on Jefferson and right on Mack. I'm going to say Warren, right on Mack, and that means a lot. And, you know, I had an opportunity to meet you and sit down, and we had that conversation. I was struck by a couple of things. First of all, by the fact that we could have a conversation about racism and banking with a whole group of bankers and not, have to shy away or, be civil. We were allowed to speak our minds and really have, and then you guys had responses.
Yes.
And that really meant a lot to me because a lot of times, you're just biting your tongue and hoping it doesn't come off. Anyway, given the structural history and economic injustice, what is Huntington's Bank's position and what have you guys been doing about it? How have you responded?
Yeah, so, I appreciate that comment. And honestly, we can't deal in truth. Then what's the purpose of being here, right? We have to have these difficult conversations. And as a community president, I'm also a Black woman, right, who lives in the city of Detroit, raising a family in the city of Detroit. I understand there's been issues. And I have a different viewpoint about how to address those issues. And so I've been working with Huntington for the last year. If you guys recall, maybe about a year ago, we announced a $40 billion strategic community plan. And that's across the entire footprint. $1 billion of that is dedicated to Detroit, right? And the whole goal is to take out of the $40 billion, $16 billion and dedicated to racial and social equity. And so, we can't fix this problem overnight, but what we can do is put a plan in place that encourages us to support our Black and brown communities. And so I'm very excited about our community plan. And that includes small business support, community investment, philanthropy. We also have workforce development, financial literacy, affordable housing. We have so many targets that we're trying to meet. And again, it's not going to happen overnight, but we do have a figure out there, and we're working towards that figure.
Talk about what that looks like localized here in the city of Detroit. So all of those programs that you listed, how are those being implemented? Who are your partners? Who are you working with?
Absolutely. Well, you guys are one of them. I know we're trying to do some work together, but, we work with the city of Detroit. So when Mayor Duggan announced the Strategic Neighborhood Fund, we were the first in. We didn't know what neighborhood we were going to get. We said we don't care what neighborhood. We just want to make sure that there's support in building up neighborhoods in the city. And so at the time, we were two different banks. There was TCF and there was Huntington, right? And so both banks got in under the leadership of Gary Torgo and Steve Steinauer, who is our CEO, and Gary's our chairman of Huntington Bank. So we have a $10 million commitment right? $5 million in Cody Warrendale and $5 million in Grandmont Rosedale. And so what we've done is we've supported the city's planning process, right? So we've helped to, we've worked on the streetscapes and affordable housing leverage fund.
Yeah, and the SNF neighborhoods.
SNF neighborhoods. Yeah. We've done some business corridor development. That's where that kind of $10 million went. But we've also done stuff over and beyond, because I believe that it's one thing to partner with neighborhoods and say, hey, the city has a plan, but we want to get in there and tell us what it is that you want us to do. So in Detroit, we've done several things. We put STEM labs in schools. We've worked with several small businesses from a grant perspective, as well as small business lending, right, to make sure that they have access to capital. We have put playgrounds and park benches and help beautify neighborhoods, because at the end of the day, you come in as a partner, as a bank. You know, I know we're talking about, you know, we're finance, right? We're money, right? But beauty matters in neighborhoods, and if you're going to partner with the neighborhood, you have to get on their level and say, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
We want park benches. It's a shame that, you know, Detroiters are still asking for park benches or benches next to a bus stop.
Yeah.
It's an easy ask for us. And so we tried something different. We got in and we said, hey, we're going to support the community at the level they want us to support them at. So we have all kinds of projects. We have projects in the Marygrove community. Actually, just in a couple weeks, we'll be getting a park named after us. And we're not asking for this, but this is just a response from the community.
Where's the park?
It is in the Marygrove neighborhood. Mm-hmm. It is actually behind the college. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a park. It was actually 2 lots. We helped to get the properties demoed. And the community decided, like, we need to do something with this land. We need to make it, you know, a space for kids and make sure there's no more blight. And so we helped them to get the equipment, to level the ground, do all the stuff that it takes to put a park.
I'm assuming the park's not going to be called Huntington Place.
It's
what is the park name?
It's going to be Huntington. Listen, it's literally Huntington Park, and I can't talk them out of doing
not
that.
Place.
It's not place. That's our new center.
I know.
Yeah. It's literally called Huntington Park. You know, and so I tried to talk them out of that because we're not in it for naming rights. Right?
All right, and hopefully, you know, Huntington will be Huntington for a long time, and we don't have to rename.
Well, listen, everything
Huntington
in the city of Detroit.
I have to be honest. You know, first, TCF Center just was not working for me at all. It was like I got LCA and TCF Center confused all of the time. So it was Huntington Place. It really helped. It worked for me, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like a place. Huntington sounds
Place.
welcoming.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's cool.
That's our slogan. Welcome. Like
welcome.
That's Huntington.
Wow,
yeah, we say welcome.
See,
right?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But that's how it sounds to me. When you look, and this is just a question that occurs to me when you talk about that kind of investment. A lot of times when you talk about bank commitment, most of that is going to be loan dollars.
That's right.
Is this mostly loan dollars? And if so, what are you doing to make it easier for people who are typically denied loans to access these loan dollars?
Absolutely. So we know access to capital is a real issue, especially in Detroit, especially with our Black and brown
and
folks.
low cost capital.
And low cost capital. So we have a program that we just introduced not too long ago called Lift Local. And basically it is a loan program for minorities, women, veteran-owned businesses. And I don't know if you guys know, but Huntington is the #1 SBA lender in the country. So these loans are made accessible, different criteria, right? It typically, the loans, you know, it's not like a traditional financing. We look at other, you know, ways that we can finance folks, right? And so Lift Local is a really good product. You can find more about that product in our branch. If you go see your branch manager, they have a whole section about the Lift Local products, but it's dedicated. And we've really put, I think, $100 million in that fund. And we're encouraging people, go and apply. And if it doesn't work out, tell us why so that we can fix it and figure out what product does work for you.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So talk about, you know, we're talking about the Huntington investment strategy in Detroit, but I hear like there's something coming up with ECN and some kind of partnership and working together on the southeast side. What y'all got simmering? What y'all got going on?
Well, I'm excited. So,
yes.
we...
Are we breaking news right now?
Well, yes, let's break the news. On Saturday, we have our open house for the Stoudemeyer, which is our wellness hub. And we are working on 9 dimensions of wellness. Financial wellness is huge, right? Without financial wellness, it's hard to make anything else work.
That's right.
And so we are working with Huntington as our financial wellness partner. And we're trying to figure out what exactly that partnership will entail, but we do know that it's going to entail making banking accessible through hopefully an ATM at our center, as well as by bringing bankers to our center, engaging in financial literacy, and also helping walk people through the loan process, right? So now that you have these loan products, a lot of times people don't apply for loans because they don't understand how to qualify.
I need a mortgage. I'm coming to see y'all.
Come on, we could do this today. I got people here at Mackinac, so let me know what you want to do.
Let's do it during this podcast and see how easy it is. Walk away rich, right?
I just need your social security number. No, I'm teasing.
On air. But yeah, I think that really part of it is co-creating what that means.
That's right.
And that's exciting to me to have somebody just committed to, let's make sure that we don't just announce these things in headlines, but that we work with a partner who's working with people and we're co-creating a future for the people in our community.
I mean, Donna just said it in a way that I could have never said it, but you're 100% right. You know, first of all, we're so excited. Like, it is important that our city, east side of Detroit, but Detroit in general, is financially healthy. Right. And that's something that we don't talk about. We don't see those classes in school. We don't have access all the time. What we want to do is really bring financial literacy, financial wellness to the community. Right. So people don't realize how hard it is to get information. You know, sometimes we think it's easily accessible. We think
this
Googling.
Is what we tango with all the time as journalists. Yes, absolutely.
And you think you could just Google something, but it doesn't work if you don't have someone sitting there with you, showing you how this can work out for you. And so I'm excited that we'll be able to actually be there with you guys, provide resources with you guys. Like we're co-creating right now. But what I love about co-creating is that, first of all, the vision is getting big, right? Yeah. And so I'm getting excited because Donna and I are both visionaries. Right. And so what we're about to put together is going to be outstanding.
Donna, no more ideas.
Yeah, no, I love it.
We used to have to say that to Donna. No more ideas, Donna. Let us implement the other ones first.
Yeah. Sounds like my team. They tell me all the time, Latrice, enough is enough. But we are so excited because when we started talking the other day, I could just feel the energy. We were like, oh my God, what we can do on the east side of Detroit, what we can do as a partnership to make sure that people are aware of their opportunities and they're aware of their, or getting them financially wealthy, healthy, all of that. Like we just got so excited. So we're not making any major announcements, I don't think, today, other than just stay tuned.
But we're committed to a partnership.
Absolutely.
And I want to say this and put a pin in this. This is going to be my theme today, Orlando, is this whole concept of civility.
That's right.
Which is silencing really some real tough conversations, but sometimes when you have the tough conversations, it takes you to the other side.
That's right.
And that is building solutions.
That's right.
So I was able to have a tough conversation, quite frankly, with people from different races.
That's right.
A lot of times we don't talk across racial lines about how things are experienced with us, and we need to have those conversations even when we make people uncomfortable.
That's right.
And we had those conversations, and now we're here having another conversation about co-creating wellness for the people in our community. And so I want to thank Huntington and also you for being the bridge builder. I mean, there's so many people on your staff who are bridge builders and making this possible. We're really excited, and I think the people in our community are really, really excited. And we're going to have maybe a Huntington experience. I don't know where you got park and place. We're going to call it something else, right? There's another P word there somewhere.
That's right. We're going to figure that out.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say
Huntington Partnership,
something. We're going to figure it out. But Donna, we have great leadership at the bank. Like, seriously, when I say that I work with some amazing leaders who want to get it, who want to understand, who want to help to support the vision and the mission for Detroit. Like our CEO, Steve Steinauer, our chairman, Gary Torgo, we got Sandy Pierce in the market, we have Eric Dietz, we have myself. Like, we are all on the same page, and we are trying to make things right for Detroiters, especially when it comes to their finances.
Well, there's the corporate mandate there, but, I want to turn to you personally. This is something that you personally are passionate about. So last year you were named ECN's corporate champion at the Eastside Extravaganza. But so we want to ask you, why is it important for you, Latrice McClendon, to champion community in Detroit?
Yeah, and first of all, thank you for that award. That was a special moment. And, I came home with the award. My children are like trying to grab him. Like, if you break this, like,
because it's fancy.
It's coming out of your allowance, okay? And I don't want to have to call them and tell them I need another one. But, seriously, I think for myself personally, obviously you see me, I'm a black woman, right? I'm from Detroit. I went to Detroit Public School. I have a passion for our city. And I sit at the table as an influencer and a decision maker. And, just from my point of view, like, it's important for me to stand up for what I believe in, right? And I believe in equity for our city. I believe in equity, in finances, right? And I believe that, if I don't use my voice, to just encourage change, that I'm missing the mark. This is not about me being in a community president position. It's not about me getting a pat on the back. This is about me helping to support my community and making sure that when I leave this job, there's legacy, right? That we've done things on the east side of Detroit, that we have improved the quality of people's finances, right? Their financial stability. And so I'm very passionate about making sure that while I'm here at this table, that I'm using my voice and I'm supporting our communities in the way that we should be supported. It's a bigger picture. It's always a bigger picture.
It's always a big picture, and I freaking love it. Okay, another question. One of my favorite programs, and this is selfishly, is the SWAG Awards. You guys partner with the NAACP to offer scholarships
Michigan
to
Chronicle.
and Michigan Chronicle,
Yes.
To offer scholarships to young people here in the city of Detroit. Is that happening again? What are y'all doing?
It is. So we are still. So this is our 7th year. First of all, we have. I hate to throw out numbers because it's not always about the numbers.
No, but
we have
that's a good
invested
number.
almost right at $1 million.
Wow.
Every year we give away $100,000 in scholarships, and what I love about this program, all you need is a 2.25 GPA.
So
we're not
accessible.
we're not looking for, not that the 4.0 student can't get it, but we're looking for the student that's the underdog, that wants to continue their education, but maybe they don't have resources or the access to all the scholarships. So what we do is we put a call out, we have students apply. You have to be a Detroiter. We're very firm on that for the most part. We've made a few exceptions in the past, but for the most part, you have to be a Detroit student. It could be a charter school or a public school. You have to have a recommendation. So somebody has to recommend you, and you have to have some type of community work. So we're looking for that person that's invested in the city of Detroit. And we've had some outstanding students. We've had students attend Harvard to Spelman to trade school to community college, right? We want to support whoever we can. The highest prize is $25,000.
Wow.
And you can leave there like with a check in your hand. It's so cool.
It's
like,
so
and
cool,
it's so
Donna.
much fun.
It
It's so
is.
much fun. And you've hosted for us.
Yeah,
over
that's
the
why I'm
years.
asking about it, because
Yeah.
I love that program.
Yeah, Orlando has been a great supporter. He's been our host for several years, and he brings the energy that we need to get the students excited. But this is like our key program. Not only do we offer $100,000, though, we also invite our students to do internships at the bank with us. So I think it's important that we wrap around our students. We don't just say, here's the money. We say, hey, we're going to keep up with you your 4 years. And if there's an opportunity to support in more scholarships, we will. So we do a lot of behind the scene things with our students. We get them internships. Matter of fact, one of the ladies on my team, her name is Donna Maxey. She was a SWAG winner about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
She is now an employee on my team. So we've
That's
hired
amazing.
her, and she tells me it's her dream job every day. Like, this is
Wow,
my
that's
dream
so
job. I'm
amazing.
like, you got to get a bigger
And
dream.
she spoke last year at
Yeah,
the
she spoke
awards.
last year. She's
Yeah.
outstanding. She's a U of M grad.
Yeah.
4.0 student, but when she graduated high school, she was only like a 2.8, and we invested in her, and she is just outstanding.
So when the time comes, you have to come back on and talk to us about that, because
I would love to.
that is amazing.
I would love to.
And we probably have some young people that we want to
I
represent.
was just thinking
Yeah.
that we have young people that we need to recommend. We are taking our next of the third of 3 groups of teenagers on HBCU college tours.
Very nice.
And as we take them, some of them are graduating seniors, some of them are juniors. We even have a couple sophomores
and
who've
one
gone.
got accepted into Clark when she visited.
One got accepted
Nice.
into Clark when she visited. A couple of them have gotten scholarships since then. So far, we've helped our students obtain over $100,000 in scholarships this year from many sources. So we're really proud of that work.
Outstanding.
And we want to make sure they know about all of the opportunities. So we're going to make sure they're aware of SWAG, and hopefully one of them will get that $25,000 prize. But if not, we know it will go to a deserving young person
That's
in our
right.
community.
And we would love to come out, talk about SWAG with your students and partner with you guys, even on internships. I mean, there's so many ways that we can help wrap around students. People think banking is just like working in a branch, right? But there's communications, there's public relations, there's the risk department. Like, we want to expose students and young people.
presidents, the C-suite.
The C-suite.
And
Come on.
and part of this is the financial wellness.
That's right.
And we've got to start with young people.
That's right.
It's a lot easier to teach people how to do it right from the beginning than to undo bad habits after they're in place. A lot of young people do not understand the significance of credit. They don't understand the significance of everything they're doing. And there's a lot of talk right now about how we allow 18-year-olds to sign up for debt.
Absolutely.
At a rate. It's like you would not let somebody buy a car at 18 with no job and no clarity on how they're going to pay it back. We let you take on college debt. And so educating and preparing your young people is essential.
Yeah.
Hopefully our work together in partnership will include our young people and our older people in the community.
And that's part of why we launched the scholarship program, right? We wanted to take some pressure off, right? Student loans, it really digs into like your debt. If you have student loans, it impacts you. For years and years. And so part of our offering the scholarship was really to say, hey, we want to lift the burden a little bit, right? If we can do something, I mean, you can walk in and get $2,500 or you can walk in and get $25,000, right? And it's an easy process. So we're very invested and we're very aware also that there is some work to be done in that student loan space. So,
cool. Well, I'm biased. So, number one, thank you for being you.
Oh.
And thank you for your work. It is much needed. And it's a breath of fresh air to see not one, but 2 new bank branches open up on the east side. I mean, we were a bank desert for many, many years. And so Huntington seeing value and placing roots there, it's amazing. Yes. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And we are opening more. I mean, we are looking and doing research right now to find out how we can impact Detroit. People should have accessibility to banks. Like, you should be able to walk down your street get to a bank.
That's right.
We recently put one in the Grandma Rosedale community on Grand
I was
River.
just there. It's really nice.
Yeah, it was one of my pet projects, and I was like, listen, we put $5 million in this neighborhood, but what is that without a branch? Like, we need to have presence, and because we need to get back to community banking. Like, we should know our bankers. I should be able to walk in and Donna, if you were my banker, I should be saying, hey, Donna, I need you to do this and that because you help me understand this loan. Like, we need to get back to communicating about finances, and we really need it in urban communities, right? So it's not so taboo, right? We need to talk about money, understand money, and have people right in front of us that we can walk to and say, hey, I need to understand how to get a car loan. I need to understand how to get a home loan. What products do you have for me? So I'm really excited that we're putting more branches in our
also
communities.
Speaks to a different way of looking at the people who work at your bank.
Yes.
As people who are going to be there for a long time and
That's
build those
right.
relationships.
That's right.
What are you doing on the HR side to really create that
Great question.
Huntington as the kind of place that you're going to have these community bankers over the long term?
Absolutely. So we are definitely looking for good talent, right? So I think we're hiring too. So if you're listening to this and you want to work for the bank, call me.
What are the requirements?
Well, you have to be 18. We start at different levels. So we have different levels of positions at the bank. I mean, you can work in a branch. You could be 18. Matter of fact, we are working right now to develop a co-op program in the city of Detroit where we're starting.
Do you have to have good credit?
No, you don't have to. No, not necessarily. No. I think in Detroit, it's a background check. Of course, we're a bank, and I don't think credit is gonna keep you from getting a job. I think come and apply, and let's get you in if you want a job. But you have to be 18. We start though. Like I said, we're working with a co-op program right now where we're working with young kids to kind of get them in a pipeline to work in banking. People don't realize you can have a very successful career. There are people who start off as tellers. I was just listening. I didn't even know this about my own, Sandy Pierce, who's the chair of Michigan. They said she started off as a teller. Wow. And she is the chair of Michigan, right? She has the...
Go ahead, Miss Sandy. I know Miss
she's
Sandy.
Outstanding, right? But she started small and worked her way up, and as she finished her education, and she was able to get promoted. But I think that's the story. Like, there are so many folks in Detroit. If you just get in there and kind of experience it, you might get some passion and decide
I found
you
the
want to keep
site,
a career.
Huntington-careers.com. So if you want to apply to a job or a career at Huntington, go to Huntington-careers.com. to apply today here in the city of Detroit.
Now, in the future, we're going to charge for that kind of
Yeah,
product.
I know,
You
right?
should.
We plugging everything.
Listen, you guys are just plugging everything. Look, I'm making my job a lot easier.
Yeah, we're happy about the work that you're doing, and we know that it's reaching people that traditionally are so hard to reach. And the partnership with the community development organizations around the city, specifically ECN, GDRC, and other orgs, make that possible. And so for you all to have the corporate mind to do that, I applaud you. I'll tip my hat when it's due, so I'm tipping it.
I appreciate that. You guys make my job so much easier. Without organizations like you, like we actually need you to do our job. because we don't know everything about the community, right? You guys help influence our decisions, inform us. You meet with so many folks in the community, you know what the needs are. So I'm really proud of the work that you're doing over there, Donna. I'm just amazed at what you're doing on the east side, and really not just the east side, it's really Detroit. Right, it's impacting the entire city. It's not one meeting that I don't go into where they're like, "Do you know Donna Gibbons Davis?" I'm like, "Do I know her?" Absolutely,
wow.
So I'm very excited and proud of the work. In any way that we can support
Columbia.
you, we would.
University.
I'm really honored. When I got to ECN, there were so many people who were like, "Can she fill Maggie's footsteps? Can she fill her shoes?" And so it's been great building those bridges over the years.
No, congratulations for all the work.
And we appreciate your support. And of course, even though Orlando has moved into a different role in journalism, he is still a partner.
I'm still a board member,
and
I'm a board member. I have fiduciary responsibility over at ECN.
We try not to let certain people get away.
That's right. Orlando has to stay tied in. I mean,
it's like a life sentence or something.
A life sentence.
Oh man, Latrice McClendon, community president, Detroit, and community market executive at Huntington Bank. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you.
All right,
a pleasure.
thank you.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Today we are continuing our Detroit candidate series. Midterms are this year, and we want to do our best to bring candidates directly to you, our listeners. A race that we are paying special attention to is the 13th congressional race that currently has about 11 candidates in the field. Our interviews will culminate in a candidate debate in partnership with Detroit Action before the primaries in August. Michael Griffie is one of those candidates, and he is joining us in the studio today here on the beautiful Mackinac Island. Michael is an attorney and former educator. Michael Griffie, welcome to Authentically Detroit.
Orlando, Donna, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So it's a crowded field. It's an exciting race. Tell us why you decided to run.
You know, service has been in my DNA. I'm the son of a special education teacher and a school social worker. I followed in my dad's footsteps as a high school English teacher, and even before then, I looked at my grandfather who came to Michigan, Ecorse, Michigan in December 48, and I remember being in his living room and seeing that plaque on his wall, this 30-year plaque at McLeod Steel. And I feel that I've been fortunate enough to have had experiences that I believe have helped shape me to best represent our community.
Talk about those experiences.
Yeah, I believe that service over opportunity. And, as a high school English teacher, I started in the Pontiac School District, Pontiac Northern High School.
Oh, wow. I have friends that went there.
I was 22 years old. Your husband went to Northern?
Yeah.
Now, I tell you what, there was a big debate between Northern and Central. It's been squashed now. Now it's Pontiac High School. I was 22 years old. I was teaching some seniors, and I remember telling the class to be quiet, and then kind of thinking I was like, are they gonna actually be quiet? But what I learned very early as an educator was, you can have the command over a classroom best when your students see you invest in them outside of the four walls in the classroom. I'll never forget, because I was fortunate enough to be the assistant varsity basketball coach that year, so I coached under legendary coach Robert Rogers. And after the game, that Friday game, that Monday, I came back into the class. The kids were sitting down quiet, waiting for me to speak, and it felt weird. But they saw me outside of the normal class. They cared. They knew that I cared much more than just that paycheck. Those are the type of experiences that I think I'm going to be able to bring to best represent our community. I had the opportunity to be a founding principal of a high school in Detroit. When I took the job in April, there were no students, no staff, no curriculum. I had conducted over 60 interviews that summer. We opened the school on time in September, right after Labor Day. Today, that school has over 600 students with a 90% graduation rate.
What school is that?
That was Cornerstone Health High School.
Okay.
And while I was a principal, I went to law school at night, and that created a level of industriousness in me that said I could do something if I put my mind to it. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a silver spoon any step of the way. I went to Wayne State. I was a high school English teacher, high school principal, went to law school at night, and had the opportunity to work at one of the largest law firms in Michigan. So that's a little bit about my background. I'll be honest with you, I didn't fall off the political tree. I was in the world, in the real world, educating our kids and serving our community, most recently as a civil rights lawyer. So that's a little bit about my background.
So what are the top needs of the 13th District? And what is the role of you as a congressman in meeting those needs?
Yeah, that's a great question, Donna. I think the top needs, first and foremost, we have to protect the all-out assault on our right to vote. I think that is a federal issue, and Democrats need to be leading from the front. And the 13th District is the third safest Democratic seat in the country. We have to be, as a district, leaders in protecting our right to vote. Secondly, I believe that we need to end the epidemic of gun violence killing our youth. When I was a principal 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago to the day, Sandy Hook happened. I was a high school principal. I'll never forget that day, because that morning there was a bit of a crisis, nowhere near in comparison to Sandy Hook, but there was a crisis. One of our students looked down the barrel of a 45 millimeter handgun on his way to school. And to think 10 years later what happened in Texas, we have to have real people that have been in the real world to help solve these real problems.
Well, speaking of one of the real problems, a lot of people say that a real problem is access to an AR-15 gun. And yet, across the nation, you have people on the Republican side of the aisle who will say that that's part of freedom, is having access to those guns, and that there's no way to restrict that. And certainly, we heard in Texas that police officers were afraid of being shot. And yet most police associations are not in favor of gun control. And you've been endorsed by the Michigan Police Officer Association. So how do you see prioritize the, protecting kids from just unfettered access to guns, which I'm sure you saw as a principal and as 100%. A person growing up in Detroit. How do you reconcile all of that?
Absolutely. One of the things that we need to be cognizant of is that, when you're dealing with folks that come from all different walks of life, they have different perspectives. And in order to actually get things done, you got to work and get to people where they are. I do not believe it should be harder in America for an 18-year-old kid to fill out a FAFSA application than to get an AR-15. And whether that means raising the age, an assault weapons ban, I believe, would go a long way to ending this epidemic.
I mean, we had a ban, and then it was reversed, right?
It expired or was reversed.
It expired, and there's no political will to reinstate that ban. So you were saying that people have different, diverse opinions. Where do you stand, and how do you draw the line?
Well, I stand right here. I do believe that it's too easy for people to get assault weapon bans. Military-grade weapons there's no place for them in our society. But I'm also a realist. What I'm not going to do if you elect me to Congress, I'm not just going to talk on cable news and be a pundit about, we need an assault weapons ban. I want to be in the room with people from all different walks of life to get things done and to actually solve these problems. The folks that I educated the children, of factory workers and the children of attorneys, the children of police officers and firefighters, right? And I think that it would be disingenuous for me to say on, this program or any other program that there's an absolutist way, and that if we can't have a full-out assault weapons ban, then there's nothing we can do. And I think that there's things we can do if we can put our heads together and work together.
So who's representing those? But I want to move beyond that. I'm just saying that it seems to me as though, the minute that the murders happened and the, terror happened in Texas, the NRA had a convention, people lined up, people are questioning folks, and it doesn't seem like the people on the right are giving an inch on this issue. So it's not a matter of being a pundit, but I just don't see how that...
Is bipartisanship a reality right now, given the polarizing nature of politics right now. The Republican Party that we know today is not the Republican Party of, not even a decade ago.
Right.
And Democrats, there's a fracture in that party. So how does bipartisanship look right now, and how do you want it to look in the future, especially if you're elected?
Well, I can tell you from experience, one thing that you're going to hear from me, and you'll hear along the rest of the way through the campaign, I'm not going to be telling you things that some comms person told me to say. I'm going to tell you what I've actually done in the real world. I got an opportunity to get Gretchen Whitmer, Mike Shirkey, and Jason Wentworth to agree on something. Somebody said I need to put that on my gravestone. And what I was able to convince them or get them to agree on is that there's a teacher shortage crisis in our state, and we need to be able to approach it and not to be able to do things the same way and expect different results. Working at Teach for America, we were able to receive a $10 million state appropriation to address the teacher shortage crisis, to bring 1,000 new teachers into Michigan, into Detroit, into Grand Rapids, into the Upper Peninsula. And the way we were able to do that was to get people in the room around a common issue. It wasn't just talking, right? And it wasn't an absolutist theory, but what we were doing was meeting people where they are, and we actually got something done.
I think the last federal bipartisan legislation I recall, and I'm sure there's something since then, is Juneteenth. Which is
oh, goodness.
In addition to gun violence, what are the other top priorities in the 13th?
I had an opportunity to tour Matrix Human Services last week, and they're the largest Head Start provider in the city of Detroit. And I think it's long overdue for universal pre-kindergarten for every child in America. As a high school principal, if a child had a curriculum-based preschool education, they had a much better chance to be reading at grade level in the third grade. Now, in America right now, there are a set of people who make too much money to afford Head Start, but can't afford the $1,500 a month for a curriculum-based pre-kindergarten education. In this country, we have to be able to provide that, and I think that folks in the 13th district would benefit greatly from a universal pre-kindergarten.
Can't argue with that. As a high school principal, I'm certain that you saw, or maybe not certain, but I believe you probably noticed that a lot of the students that you were working with were functionally homeless, that they were couch surfing and not really staying in one place at a given time. And that impacts educational outcomes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And so what is your vision on addressing that need as a congressperson?
Well, when we talk about the McKinney-Vento Act, we need to be able to expand that so that we can provide more resources for homeless children that are identified as homeless under the McKinney-Vento. I think not just homeless children, but also our foster children. As a principal, I saw children, and it would be just absolutely heartbreaking when they're coming into school with a big trash bag with all of their belongings because, they've been moved or they're going back into foster care. Their foster families no longer able to care for them. Right. These are the kind of things that we need to be addressing for whole children, not just inside the actual classroom.
Right. But don't they also need homes?
Indeed.
So Indeed. What are your thoughts around housing?
Housing insecurity is a real threat to our community. And I believe that what we need, I think the bipartisan infrastructure, Biden infrastructure deal that happened is a good step toward that, getting $1 billion into MISHDA to provide affordable housing. But I think that's a down payment. What we need to do is be able to keep reinvesting and so that we can have affordable housing through MISHDA when that comes from the federal government, from federal appropriations.
Okay, I get to ask the fun questions. I get to ask you about money. So in first quarter, your campaign reports said that you raised about $307,000. So tell us, where the money is coming from and who's endorsing you and, giving you money because, people, inquiring minds want to know. People want to know. You came in first quarter second, just behind Adam Hollier, who you have a legal challenge out to. By the way, we want to talk about that.
The legal challenge was resolved in court yesterday. The judge, I believe, ruled that he does go back on the ballot, or have you somehow taken that to another level?
Yeah, that's at the trial court level. We have an appeal. We're about to file in Michigan Court of Appeal.
Why is that important? I'm curious about that.
Well, this is about everybody playing by the same set of rules. Whether you're a political insider or you're a career politician or if you're just a teacher and principal, everybody should be playing by the same set of rules. And that's why we filed a challenge. And, we'll let the courts, our pleading speak for itself. As far as money is concerned, I'm really proud.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of the fact that I was able to convince my sister, Pam, to provide a $200 donation. As my big sister, she's like, you've been asking me for money since you were 4 years old. No, we were able to put together a very impressive first fundraising quarter. I'll tell you what, it was based on a lot of hard work, and it started pretty simple. The first call I made was to my mom. The second call I made was to my dad. And this is all public information. I asked, these are two retirees that live off of their pension, and I asked them, I said, can I get a maximum contribution from you? And I assumed the way my mom must hear my voice every single day. I was like, okay, my mom will be the easiest, much easier than dad. She asked me about 500 questions about, okay, well, what are you going to spend the money on? How is this going to affect, my dad said, I got you, don't worry about it. That's how I raised the money. Not obviously.
So individual, ton of individuals.
I said that. I received one PAC contribution from the law firm that I worked at for 5.5 years, Butts Along. And then really it was just a matter of being on the phone, telling our story. You start with your family and friends. Those are the hardest fundraising calls to make because I tell you what, when your friends say they don't believe in you, who is, right? But then, you go beyond that. You start calling people a little bit outside of the circles, and we held some fundraising events. My former law firm, Butts Along, put together a great event for me. Was really fortunate enough to have individual contributors that believe in what we can provide.
What percentage of your contributions came from within the district and what percentage outside the district?
That's a really good question. I feel like Bridge Detroit may have run that.
Yeah, we have.
We'll take a look at that. I do have a question about.
I would say this: there, a very large majority of my funds came from inside the state of Michigan. And I'm really proud of that.
$60,930 came to Griffie from Detroit residents, while $265,000 came from Michigan residents.
And there's 20 other communities in the 13th district
and
outside of Detroit.
And you contributed $15,000 of your own money. Nice. Okay.
Right. We don't have that information. I do have a question. Are you getting PAC money from the Michigan Police Officers Association, and will that show up in the next campaign report?
I have not received any PAC contributions from the Police Officers Association of Michigan, but I will say that I'm very proud to have their endorsement. To have 12,000 police officers in the state of Michigan support our campaign, really to partner with us as we focus to address gun violence is killing our youth. That means a lot to me.
Are they concerned with gun violence in terms of gun control, or just in terms of arresting people who are caught with guns? I'm just curious.
I believe the Police Officers Association of Michigan and police officers around our entire state of Michigan care very deeply about gun violence and not just arresting people.
Gun control, though. Are they supporting any kind of reasonable controls on guns, or are they following the line of the NRA?
I can't speak for the Police Officers Association of Michigan.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to, but I'll tell you where I'm at. The Griffie for Congress campaign is for gun control and providing common sense gun reforms and actually being in the room to get things done, not just talking about it, but actually getting and actually doing things.
All right, we are out of time. Michael Griffie, candidate for the 13th Congressional seat, an attorney and former educator. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Orlando, Donna, thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you.